just start with Oscar McDonald. Is there an update at all, Jonah?
No, there's not. No, sort of have to wait for the swelling to go down to get a full assessment. So can't really give you an update there.
No, period at all, sort of like
no. No. Hopefully, end of the week, early next week. Yeah, we're able to get a better assessment on the knee. Me even saying that, shows that it's pretty significant. So we'll just wait and see.
It means the ACL probably is intact then.
No, we're unsure. We can't. Yeah, we can't. We can't tell that until we get an assessment by the surgeon. And when there's a lot of swelling and a fair bit of soreness, it's hard to get that accurate assessment. So we need to wait.
Is it a strange one in any way, Justin, for it to, I guess, take that long and have that amount of swelling?
I'm not a doctor. I wish I knew more about it. It's a significant injury, and he's obviously done some damage, and some damage to some different areas of the knee. So we just don't know whether it's going to be, a medium term or a long termer. Then it's like I said, the swelling needs to go down before we get proper assessment.
Obviously last week had to shuffle the magnets around, losing Darcy, put Cox forward. Now you've got all those injuries again. Do you look at bringing in that second ruckman for this week in Reedy, and how do you sort of cover that defensive end?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of questions that need answering, and there's a lot of options to those. Yeah, Reedy coming in as a primary ruck, and Jacko going forward is an option. Yeah, replacing like for like in our back half's an option. Go back to a couple of years ago when we had injuries, Luke Ryan played a lot taller, and that worked well for us. So we feel like we've got the necessary replacements. It's just which way we go will be the decisions in selection later this Savo.
You took Josh Draper last year a couple of times for an emergency, and he played the pre-season. And then there's also Hugh Davies, who I thought was pretty impressive last year for Peel, especially on a guy like Ben Soko, who's played pretty well for Subiaco over the years. Are those two sort of ready to go?
Yep, good assessment. Yeah, we feel they are. We feel like they're in the mix. So they'll come up in selection.
You want to tell us a bit about Josh Draper and how have you seen his pre-season?
Oh, he's had a great pre-season, and Huey mentioned there, he's had a great pre-season as well. They've been playing key position at Peel for all of last year. Been playing on our key forwards across the pre-season. Drape's got an opportunity in the West Coast game and the back end of the Port game, so that shows that we're rating the way he's going about his footy. Both of them will come into the mix. Both of them have improved a lot since the back end of last year, even with another pre-season under their belt, both in the gym and running. So they're well placed if they get an opportunity.
What would tip it the way to go with putting a rookie straight in rather than Luke Ryan goes to the biggest bloke, gives away 14 centimetres or whatever?
Probably more long term. But that's another consideration because we're not going to get Coxie or Oscar back next week or the week after. So we've got to have a plan for the next month or maybe the rest of the year. So it's not just a short term decision.
Either of them sort of showing enough that make you feel like we want to get a look at these guys, irregardless of the injury situation?
No, they both are. It's a good question, and it needs all the discussions that you go through in match committee. It's probably a little bit. There'll be a few more decisions like this week, given we've lost a couple of guys to the same position. It would have been easier if we just lost one of them, and Coxie could have gone back. That would have been a lot easier. So all these things go into the pot. And you're just got to make sure that they are ready because, like I said, we want to give them opportunity, and it's not a 1 week thing. So, find that balance in selection later this Savo. There'll be a bit going on.
What did you learn about Hughes and even Banfield went back, didn't he, and played tall? What did you learn about those blokes back then?
Yeah, well, Hughes has always been there, so he was fine. Banners was probably the one. Speaking to him, he was a bit shocked when the runner came out. We thought Youngie's our swing man there. He usually goes back, and we thought he was going well in the midfield, and we wanted to maintain the rage through there. So, yeah, Banners went back. He's a good defensive player, so he handled it pretty well, and he's an option going forward as well now. And then obviously with the 2 injuries, we threw Youngie back as well, who's a bit more seasoned back there. So in Youngie's an option if we feel like we need a bit more bounce back there, but we've got to balance up getting the midfield mix right as well.
With the ruck situation, Luke obviously did really well in there at the weekend and then went forward and kicked a couple of goals. Are you though wary of playing him predominantly ruck every week, given you're not going to have Sean for a little while and he could get a bit banged up, especially against really big guys like Cherry?
Not really. It's an interesting one because once Luke acclimatises himself to that role, he'll be fine. It's just because he's been playing as a forward all pre-season, the extra spike in the load and the contested efforts, that puts him at some risk. Though we feel like we're a better place for that because we've been preparing for this, and we've had some opportunity to prepare for this in the pre-season. So, but it was an issue last year. Sean got injured. Luke was playing mainly forward. Luke goes into the ruck, change of role. Big spike in contested efforts, and the way he plays is really dynamic. So that was a risk last year. Feel like we're better placed for that. And once he gets a couple of games under his belt, he'll be fine. He was outstanding on the weekend, and it's a balancing act because we want to maintain the rage in the midfield with Youngie and Jacko, who played well, but we need to make sure we're balanced across the ground. So might be here for a while this Saturday.
Were you surprised that they let Jackson go down there one-on-one with the ruckman? And twice he outmarked it. He couldn't even get near him, actually.
Yeah, well, Jacko's a great runner. So on those plays, Jacko anticipated the play and maybe got harder forward than McInerney thought that the ball was going to come. And got fortunate that he got on the end of it, and beautiful left foot pass by Brayshaw on one of them. So that happens. So sometimes that happens. Look, I think it was in the third quarter, Oscar got goal side of Jacko and should have taken a chest mark inside forward 50, but he dropped it. So Jacko got lucky there. But that can happen. Yeah.
Has Brendan Walker done enough yet, Justin, to justify coming into the AFL team?
Yeah, he's done enough physically and been really mindful of his build because it was just a really significant injury and it's been a long rehab, and we've been really measured with the way we've built his loads. So he got to a full game at Peel on the weekend. So physically he's ready. We just have to make sure his footy's up to the level. Our coaches think his footy's up to the level, and we don't want to put him out there if he's not quite there yet. So we'll balance that up, but physically we think he's ready to go.
Just back on Hayden Young, you mentioned him a couple of times. Is that something that is that a last resort decision for you, or something that could happen this week?
Depends which coach you ask.
You're the main man.
Yeah, well, I've spoken about getting the midfield right all pre-season, and when the midfield's right, it does help the backs out. So we want to make sure we get that balance through there. Yeah.
Is it important with him in there this week, and especially against the young North Melbourne outfit who looked pretty light on their feet and quick at the weekend?
Yeah. That's one of their strengths. And last year, round 2, they got a hold of us at clearance and stoppage, and they're a good centre bounce team, good stoppage team, and they challenge the way they exit from there. So we need to be prepared for that. And Youngie plays a big part in that. They
are lacking though key defenders. Do you feel like you've got obviously a little bit of depth in the back line, but you've got a lot of depth in that forward line with Taylor and Voss playing Waffle? Do you feel like you can load up a bit taller maybe and try and take advantage?
Yeah, well, it's a balance. It's a balancing act because they're moving the ball really well out of the back half and through the corridor. So we need to look to where we can expose, but make sure we get the balance right, that we don't get sliced back the other way. So another decision for selection.
You'd be loath to tweak it though, wouldn't you? Because Josh Tracy was super, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, we feel the balance up front with 3 talls. And like I spoke about after the game, once the rotation starts, Jacko's on the bench, JT's in the ruck, you end up with 2. And we're reluctant to make that 1. So, we'll work out the mix, but we do like the 3 talls.
Now, we haven't spoken to you since your contract was signed. Were you a bit surprised at some of the reaction in the East? Do you I mean, you wanted to sign, the club wanted you to sign, everyone was happy, and they sort of somehow they turned it into a negative. Did that surprise you?
What are you talking about in particular?
Like
David
Fox
King.
Footy and anyway, I know that Nathan Buckley came out in support of you. Yesterday saying that's ridiculous. It's not a stunt. He's happy. Everyone's happy.
Yeah,
It sounds like they didn't understand the trigger was gone and all that sort of stuff.
yeah, it's pretty easy to have shots from across the other side of the country. Yeah, well, I value the people who see me go to work every day, and see how I act inside the club, and people want to take or have shots like that from, like I said, from across the country, and not really knowing the background. I don't really get caught up in that. It doesn't really affect me. Like I said, what I value is the people that see me go to work, the players, the footy department, the club. They see me go to work every day. They see my messaging to the players. They see my relationships. They see the culture we're building here. So that's that's the opinion I go on. So it doesn't really affect me, Barra.
Style of footy you played on the weekend, Justin. How confident are you that I guess high pressure brand can be the norm for this team this season?
Oh, really confident. Yeah, because we saw it last year. Yeah, and especially the back end of last year, like the last 6 games of last year, were really consistent in that aspect. When we won 4 in a row in the middle of the year, we were really consistent in all those phases of the game. It looked very similar to the weekend. So, I'm positive on the fact that we can be more consistent.
And how important was Sam Switkowski to the way that you played?
Oh, he's super important. He's heart and soul. He's all effort. And then he's got the skill to back it up when he gets the ball in hand. So, he's super player. He's been a super leader, and it's a pretty young forward line, and he's the leader in that forward line with Sonny, and they do a super job down there.
And the speed in the forward half, we didn't really realise that's really troubled the lines. And when you turned him, it was gone. Freddie was gone.
But that's what pressure does. That's what pressure does, and that's why we focus on Team D. So you can turn the ball over in areas where your forwards can explode off turnover like that and get goal side. And that's why teams focus on contests in Team D, because you've got to be able to create those opportunities. You can't just win it back in your back 50 and have to transition the ball through all 18 defenders every time. It's really hard to move the ball like that. So win the ball in good areas, use your numbers, allow players to explode off that.